Hare Krishna, Premasindhu Gauranga Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. You are able to hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji. Are we okay to start, Prabhu?
Just 2 minutes.
Can you please turn on the video, Prabhuji? First.
Yeah, just 1 minute. Actually, okay. 1 minute.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very fortunate to have the association of His Grace Premasindhu Gauranga Prabhu, who will be sharing the nectar from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 5, chapter number 14, and sloka number 43. Prabhuji, over to you, Prabhu. Prabhuji, you want me to share the screen? I'll be doing from mobile, Prabhu.
43, right?
43, yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yeah, you can share, no problem.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Or
We can start, Prabhuji. I'll share the screen.
Okay.
Prabhuji, we can start with Mangalacharan. I will just share the
Yes.
screen.
Or I can share also, no problem. You can make me the host. Okay, I'm already co-host. I can do it, no problem. So I will do it, don't worry. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा So welcome to your daily Srimad Bhagavatam class, and we are here studying fifth canto, 14th chapter. You are able to see the screen, share screen.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So we are going to study here from the 14th chapter of the fifth canto, and this discussion is regarding Maharaj Bharat, who is the emperor of the entire Bhumandal actually. And although he is so qualified in all the ways, he is qualified materially, he is qualified spiritually, he comes from a very great lineage. So even though he has all the wonderful qualifications, we see that he is renouncing. So he is going to renounce everything. So this particular verse, it speaks about renunciation. So let us read the verse. Yo दुष्टजान दार सुतान सुहृद राज्यम हृदि स्पृशः जहो युवैव मलवद उत्तम श्लोक लालसः. So the verse it says that Bharat, who longed to serve the Lord, यह उत्तम श्लोक लालसः. Uttama Shloka is a name of the Supreme Lord who is glorified in with the best of the verses. That's why his name is Uttama Shloka. So that Bharat, he gave up wife, sons, friends, and kingdom. Jahodara Sutan Suhrud Rajyam. So gave up all these things. Dara is wife, Sutan is children, Suhrud is friends, Rajya is kingdom. As if they were stool Malavad, though they were touching to the heart, Ridhi Sprishaha. So all these things are very, very dear to a person and very difficult to give up. And thus difficult to give up at a young age. Yuvaiva Dushtajan. Dushtajan. So it's not that Maharaj Bharat had become an old man. He was still a young man. And after just enjoying all these things or being in touch with all these wonderful opulences, so he was not so much attached and he gave them up in the young age. So Srila Prabhupada translates this verse as while in the prime of life, the great Bharat Maharaj gave up everything because he was so fond of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uttama Shlok. He gave up his beautiful wife, nice children, great friends, and an enormous empire. Although these things were very difficult to give up, Maharaj Bharat was so exalted that he gave them up just as one gives up stool after evacuating. Such was the greatness of his majesty. So, when we read this verse, what is the main theme which comes out? And someone say, what is the main theme of this verse?
You said
Yes.
renunciation, no, Prabhu.
Sorry.
You said it tells about renunciation.
Yes. So the verse speaks about renunciation, and then in the purport we will see that how Srila Prabhupada he connects it to devotional service.
Commitment of any devotee, how we determined, that's also we can say.
Okay, we can also say determination, and because of determination, he could give up. So we are going to read the purport now, and after that, we are going to discuss that in our practical daily lives in Kali Yuga, what can we do? Is it that renunciation is based or bhakti is based on renunciation? So, can bhakti be performed without renunciation, or renunciation is very much required? Let's say if bhakti is independent of renunciation, then why do we see that such kind of examples are given in the Shastra? So, we'll see and what we can do in our practical daily lives. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the name of God is Krishna because he is so attractive that for his sake the pure devotee can give up anything within this material world. even if very, very dear. Maharaj Bharat was an ideal king, instructor, and emperor of the world. He possessed all the opulences of the material world. But Krishna is so attractive that he attracted Maharaj Bharat from all his material possessions. Yet, somehow or other, the king became affectionate to a little deer and, falling from his position, had to accept the body of a deer in his next life. Due to Krishna's great mercy upon him, he could not forget his position and he could understand how he was fallen. Therefore, in the next life, as Jad Bharat is the third life. First life is Maharaj Bharat, which we are studying now. Second life is deer. Third life is Jada Bharat. So, third life, Jada Bharat, Maharaj Bharat was careful not to spoil his energy. So, he presented himself as a deaf and dumb person. So, we see here that Maharaj Bharat is an ideal king, instructor, emperor, and he possessed all opulences. And Krishna means someone who is all attractive. So Krishna is very attractive, and Maharaj Bharat was attracted to Krishna, and so he gave up all his material possessions. So uh, now let me ask you one question: Is if someone is a great personality like Maharaj Bharat, is it mandatory for him to give up all his material possessions? What do you think?
No, no, Prabhu, not mandatory.
Why? So, why it is not mandatory?
It was at his will. If he wants to, he can give up, but it is not mandatory because he is still young and a lot of time, and he's being a good ruler.
Okay, so he is a good ruler and he could rule for some more time, so it's not mandatory. Okay, fine. So, any other explanation why it is not mandatory or it is mandatory?
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Yes.
So one is a pure devotee of the Lord. So he is beyond, any material, even from the birth itself. So he is actually setting an example for anybody else coming forward. So he is beyond any of the attachment, even from the beginning.
Okay, correct.
Hare
Fine.
Krishna Prabhu.
So, Prabhu said that from beginning he is detached. So, it is not that he is giving it up. He is already detached. Yes. Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. He's as another word, a renunciant. He's a totally renunciant. So he will not have any attachment. Even if it is there, he will be not attached to anything, Prabhu.
Okay, so whether he gives it up, he goes to the forest, or whether he is there in the palace as the emperor, in both the cases, he is attached. Oh, sorry,
Hare
detached.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
In Bhagavad Gita, it says you should be renunciant in work and not renunciation of the work, Prabhu. So you could have stayed in his duty and you could be renounced from it, Prabhu.
Okay, so uh, some people might say that Maharaj Bharat is an ideal king, instructor, emperor. He is a devotee, and so when he has been given this opportunity, then he should have ruled because that is for the benefit of the whole world. He was not the emperor of only the earth planet, but the whole Bhumandal. So if he was the emperor, then everybody would have benefited from that kind of a rule. And if he is giving it up and going to the forest, then people are at a loss because they are losing this kind of a great emperor. So one might say like that also. Yes. So any other last point, thoughts? Okay. So we see here that Maharaj Bharat is, although is the ideal king, instructor, emperor, he is very detached. And because he is a devotee and is attracted to Krishna, that is why he is detached. So whether he was an emperor in the palace or whether he leaves everything and goes to the forest, in both the cases is detached. So now a great personality like Maharaj Bharat, okay, who is attracted to Krishna and he has the best of the things which material energy can give him. So then what happens? Yet somehow or other, king became affectionate to little deer and fell from his position and then accepted a body of a deer in next life. So why do you think that a great personality who is so detached and he left everything and now he becomes uh, very much attached to a deer and he becomes a deer in next life? How is that possible? Yes. Any comments?
Prabhuji, I think this pastime is actually showing us that such a person also can be, get attracted to small deer. What will be the fate of normal people? So it's a lesson for us. So that we should not get attracted to even those things, because the result will be the next life will be the animal body. So,
Okay.
I mean,
So it's a lesson for us, but actually lessons in the Shastras are given through great personalities only. So we see that uh, our Vaishnava Acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Jiva Goswami, they explain that these episodes which are taking place in Maharaj Bharat's life, they are an divine arrangement. They are arrangement of the divine. So it's not that Maharaj Bharat, who was such a great personality, somehow got entrapped in illusion because of no reason. So definitely, lesson is there for us, but lessons are provided through great personalities. Just like we see that Arjuna becomes illusioned in Bhagavad Gita. I mean, during the Bhagavad Gita episode, but we see that he is eternal associate of the Lord, who is coming from Dwarka in spiritual world, and previously he was Nara Rishi. So he is not the person who is going to get bewildered. But then, only through great personalities, the lessons are delivered in the Shastra. So we see that Bharat Maharaj here, he becomes a deer in the next life and subsequently is born as Jada Bharat, where he presents himself as deaf and dumb. Prabhupada writes further, we have to learn from the great King Bharat how to become cautious in cultivating Krishna consciousness. A little inattention will retard our devotional service. So that is the lesson which we learn, that one has to be very, very attentive, even if one is on a very good position in spiritual life, just like Maharaj Bharat. Prabhupada quotes from Bhagavad Gita, second chapter here. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So a little service, a little devotional service rendered sincerely is permanent asset. So it is not lost. That we see in the three lives of Maharaj Bharat. Again, Prabhupada quotes from first canto. त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर् भजन् अपक्वो थपते ततो यदि यत्र को वा भद्रम् अभुत् अमुष्य किं वार्थ आप्तो भजतां स्वधर्मतः. So somehow or other, if one is attracted to Krishna, whatever he does in devotional service is a permanent asset. Even if one falls down due to immaturity or bad association, his devotional assets are never lost. So there are many examples. Ajamil, Maharaj Bharat. This Krishna consciousness movement is giving everyone a chance to engage in devotional service for at least some time. A little service will give one an impetus to advance and thus make one's life successful. Then, towards the end of the purport, Prabhupada writes Krishna's reputation 5000 years after the Battle of Kurukshetra is still expanding throughout the world. Every important individual within this world must have heard of Krishna, especially at the present moment, due to the Krishna consciousness movement. Even people who do not like us and want to suppress the movement are also somehow or other chanting Hare Krishna. They say the Hare Krishna people should be chastised. Such foolish people do not realize the true value of this movement. But the mere fact that they want to criticize it gives them a chance to chant Hare Krishna, and this is its success. So, here towards the end, Srila Prabhupada writes about the position of the Krishna consciousness movement. It is giving everybody a chance to chant Hare Krishna, to know Krishna according to their desire. They want to know Him more, they can know more. If they are not interested so much, still they will somehow hear the Hare Krishna mantra sometime or the other in their life. So that is the glory of the Hare Krishna movement. So this Hare Krishna movement, Prabhupada writes, is very glorious because it is giving a chance to people to become Krishna conscious. And only by becoming Krishna conscious, then people have some chance of uh, elevating themselves from the ignorance. So we see here that uh, Maharaj Bharat is a very great personality. This same shloka comes also in Madhya Leela 23rd chapter. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that these are the signs of virakti or detachment. And this is found in a person who is at the stage of bhava bhakti. So we know that there are different stages of bhakti, the topmost being prema. And of course, prema also has many divisions later on. So before prema is bhava bhakti, and this kind of detachment, uh, it develops in a person who is on the platform of bhava bhakti. So, so thus we understand from Srila Prabhupada's purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Maharaj Bharat was on the platform of bhava bhakti. So now we discussed earlier that there are many great personalities. Some show sudden renunciation, some may not show. That is according to the plan of the Lord. For example, Maharaj Parikshit, he showed renunciation because Srimad Bhagavatam had to be narrated. Arjuna wanted to be renounced, but Krishna told him that you should not do like that. You should fight. Because the Mahabharat war had to be carried out through the agency of the Pandavas. So, whatever is the plan of the Lord, whatever lesson the Lord wants to give through the devotees, they will act in a similar way. So, in case of Maharaj Bharat, we see that although he is the king and he has all the different abilities to facilitate the kingdom in a wonderful way, he is giving it up, just like Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit could have also very easily counteracted that curse, but he did not do so. Then in Bhagavatam, we read about many other austerities which are performed by great kings. Like when we read fourth canto, we see Prithu Maharaj. So it is explained that in the summer he used to surround himself with fire and sun on top of the head. In monsoon, he will sit in heavy rains, and in the cold, he will go in the river and you know uh, put himself in icy water, and then he will sleep on the bare ground. So we see that many great kings they have performed renunciation like this. So these are Grihastha devotees: Prithu Maharaj, Bharat Maharaj, uh, Parikshit Maharaj. Many others are also there in different Puranas. We see. And then we also hear about those who are in renounced order of life, like the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. So they are also doing a lot of tapasya, a lot of renunciation they show in their life. So uh, we often hear about Yukta Vairagya, that is, using one's abilities, attachments in Krishna service. So why didn't these personalities are they are performing Yukta Vairagya as we speak generally? So why they are taking up only Vairagya? Why these kind of examples are there in the Shastra? So the true renunciation, it means the idea of giving up that I am the enjoyer. So that is the understanding of true renunciation, that I am not the enjoyer. Then whether one remains as a king or one goes to the forest, but one should know that he is not the enjoyer. That is true renunciation. So how does practical renunciation, actually giving up everything, help with this idea? Can one progress in spiritual life without showing external renunciation? So are we fooling ourselves by thinking that we have a very comfortable life in devotional service, and with this comfortable life also we are going to attain complete purification and attachment to Krishna? Because some of the predecessors they have set very high standards of renunciation. So what do you think? Does external renunciation help in developing true renunciation? What do you think? Any comments on this? What is your understanding? Is it required or not required?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Janaka Maharaj was renounced and still he was ruling. So externally he was not showing Prabhu.
Okay, so in case of Janak Maharaj, we see that he did not renounce everything, but he is also uh, pure devotee. Okay, any other thoughts?
Katwang Maharaj Prabhu within 1 minute he could renounce everything and attain spiritual, go to spiritual world.
No, he was already renounced.
Totally renounced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he just took out some time to exclusively meditate on the Lord. No, one cannot suddenly develop renunciation if one is attached. Yes. Okay. So to understand this, we have to clarify a few points. First point to understand is that bhakti is independent. So bhakti is a complete path by itself. It does not depend on karma, jnana, yoga, tyaga, like that. So bhakti is independent of all other paths. So if we don't understand this, then we will remain confused, because many people today, they mix bhakti with other paths. Second point to understand is that bhakti is very simple, as Prabhupada used to say. So bhakti is very simple, but it is not very easy to understand. It is hard to grasp. So bhakti is very straightforward, but it is hard to understand because of two reasons. First is that we don't have any real experience of pure bhakti. What is pure bhakti? Ahaituki bhakti, which is completely free from karma, jnana, yoga, etc. So we don't have a real experience. That's why very difficult to grasp it. Second thing is that our worldly experiences contradict the principles of bhakti, which makes it very difficult for us to grasp what is pure bhakti or ahaituki bhakti. So because of this, the scriptures, they put a lot of effort into explaining bhakti clearly, especially Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas. So there are many stories of great personalities, different spiritualists, just like we are hearing Bharat Maharaj here. And these stories can be confusing for the beginners when they are trying to understand pure devotion. They will think, what should I do? I should do this or I should do that. So for beginners, it might be confusing. So another point to understand is that, as we discussed earlier, bhakti is independent of other paths. So regarding renunciation or tyaga, renunciation, bhakti is not dependent on renunciation, but renunciation helps in bhakti, although it is not essential. And that is why we see that Lord Chaitanya is also telling his followers to take up renunciation. Gaurangera Bhaktagana Vairagya Pradhan. So Lord Chaitanya is also recommending some Vairagya. So Vairagya in Bhakti is, of course, a little different than Vairagya in other paths, but some kind of Vairagya is essential. Why it is so? Because naturally we are inclined to worldly things, worldly affairs, which clouds our understanding of what is pure bhakti. So, Vairagya, it clears this fog of confusion and helps us to see the truth very clearly. And that is why we are reading about so many different stories in the scriptures of great personalities who have done practical renunciation. So, however, in pure bhakti, renunciation happens naturally. That is also another point to understand. So, it is not that renunciation is a cause of bhakti, but bhakti is a cause of renunciation. Just like we read in, I told you that similar verse comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Prabhupada writes in that purport that this vairagya which we see in Bharat Maharaj is a consequence of his bhakti. So, Jnana and Vairagya, they are two sons of bhakti. You must have heard that. So, when bhakti arises, then Jnana and Vairagya, they automatically arise. So, in pure bhakti, ahetuki bhakti, of course. So, here when I say bhakti, we mean pure bhakti, not karma mishra bhakti or jnana mishra, yoga mishra bhakti. So, when pure bhakti arises, just like in the case of Bharat Maharaj, renunciation happens naturally. Now, after that renunciation, the person may not do practical renunciation, depending on what he is supposed to do for the Lord's service. But renunciation happens naturally. So bhakti gives birth automatically to knowledge and detachment. We see that the renunciation which was seen in the lives of the Goswamis is not forced renunciation, or in the case of Bharat Maharaj, is not forced renunciation. It comes naturally from their deep love for Krishna. So they did not practice austerity separately, but they were simply absorbed in thinking about Krishna. And that is why they are renounced. It's not that the six Goswamis of Vrindavan they want to practice austerities, but because they are so much absorbed in Krishna that they don't want to do anything else. They are happy. Ultimately, every activity which one does is for happiness. So when the concept of material happiness is gone and the concept of spiritual happiness takes over, then automatically one becomes very renounced. He does not want to engage in material activities because he is happy. It's not that he is doing some austerity and he is miserable and is thinking that no, no, somehow I have to do this even though I am miserable. It's not like that. Renunciation naturally arises in someone who is practicing Shuddha Bhakti. Just like the six Goswamis who are renunciates. In case of Grihasthas also, for example, Prithu Maharaj. So his austerities, they are part of his role as a Vanaprastha in Varnashram system. So when he became a Vanaprastha, he is performing these austerities. And he followed these practices as a part of his duty, not as a separate spiritual exercise. So according to one's Varna and Ashram, some duties have to be followed. In case of Prithu Maharaj, he is practicing those duties or he is doing these practices as a part of his Varnashram duty and not as a spiritual exercise. So this has to be understood. In the modern age, people mix up duty with spiritual exercise. So if someone is very renounced, then general people feel that he is spiritually very advanced. So practice of renunciation is not a spiritual exercise because bhakti is independent of all other paths. So sometimes great devotees they show extreme renunciation, like Bharat Maharaj, to inspire respect and attention to their teachings and pastimes. Just like Lord Chaitanya, he is the Supreme Lord himself, and he is living as a grihastha. And for him, if he wishes, it is not difficult for him to make the whole world Krishna conscious, even if he lives in the grihastha ashram. But he takes sannyas so that people take him more seriously. Similarly, he encourages Raghunath Das Goswami to live very austerely and set an example. So why it is so? Because most people they respect visible renunciation. Even if people do not understand what is the science of bhakti, what is pure bhakti, they will very much respect visible renunciation. We see that even today, Kumbh Mela is going on, and you will not see that any ISKCON devotee is highlighted there. So ISKCON devotees are busy distributing prasad. So who are highlighted? Who are performing some visible renunciation because that is what attracts general people. They don't have a proper understanding of what is bhakti. For example, the gopis of Vrindavan are the greatest devotees, but their love for Krishna is not uh, outwardly visible through practices like chanting, like we do, attending Mangalarti, wearing saffron robes, or doing extreme tapasya. They are not doing these things. So that is why we see before Lord Chaitanya's advent, people did not recognize the gopis' devotion because the gopis are not displaying typical signs of renunciation. The greatness of gopis' devotion is uh, brought about in the forefront by the activities and teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So these typical signs of renunciations are not manifested by gopis, but they are considered as the greatest of the devotees. So now in the modern context, because of some technological comforts, we have very nice, comfortable life, and because of the advent of technology, it is very hard to live a life of renunciation because we are not born and brought up like that. So even if someone becomes a brahmachari after 25, 30 years of his life, it is very difficult to live a life of extreme renunciation because one is not born and brought up like that. So this is the case. On the other hand, some people even criticize renunciation. That is another side. So one thing which we understood is that renunciation is not, uh, or bhakti is not based on renunciation. These are two different activities. Although renunciation is favorable for cultivating bhakti, which is also told by Lord Chaitanya. On the other hand, there are some other people who will criticize renunciation. They say that renunciation is not at all desirable. It is not at all required. So these are the two common mistakes. First mistake is that some people mistake renunciation itself for bhakti. They think that renunciation is a practice for bhakti, which is not. And they also become proud of it. That I am so renounced, you are not able to do this. I can fast for 3 days before Janmashtami, you cannot do it. So they become proud also. This is the first mistake. Second mistake is that some people criticize genuine devotees who are not visibly renounced. So some devotees they may not be visibly renounced, like Pundarik Vidyanidhi in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So they also criticize those devotees. So one has to understand that bhakti is an independent process, and definitely vairagya has to be cultivated. One cannot live a life of sense enjoyment and unrestricted opulences in bhakti if one genuinely wants to advance in bhakti. But uh, if someone is not visibly renounced or extremely renounced visibly, it does not mean that he may not be advanced in spiritual life. That is why bhakti is very difficult to understand. So only someone who is advanced in bhakti, he can understand another person who is advanced in bhakti. And of course, the Shastras, they also tell us what are the symptoms. So it is not one is not blindfolded to believe something that, okay, one is a great devotee. So if someone is a great devotee, then we cannot also believe that blindly. There are symptoms, like in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, 9 symptoms are given for someone who is on the stage of Bhava Bhakti. So the person is showing those 9 symptoms, then we can take him as an advanced devotee. So then what is the correct understanding here? Some devotees are displaying extreme renunciation. Some may not display it, but both are devotees. So that's why it is crucial to understand the true definition of bhakti. So in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami, he tells us, Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavritam anukulyena krishna anushilanam bhakti uttama. So that is the understanding of pure bhakti. So our acharyas, they have explained the science of bhakti very wonderfully. So Anyabhilashita shunyam means without desires other than the desire for service of Lord Krishna. So without any material desires, anyabhilashita shunyam. So abhilasha, no other material abhilasha is there, but one abhilasha is there, which is service to the Lord. Then jnana karmati anavritam. So the in bhakti also jnana is required, but that is bhakti jnana, the knowledge of bhakti, which is given in Bhagavatam, which is given by our acharyas and other scriptures which are recommended by our acharyas. So, but jnana here means jnana which leads to uh, monistic philosophy. So that jnana. Then karma is fruitive activities. So karma kanda. So jnana karma di anavritam. Anukulyena. So anukulyena means one should be favorably disposed to Krishna. For example, demons also think of Krishna, but that's not a favorable disposition. Krishna Anushilanam. Krishna Anushilanam means the all the activities should be directed in the service of Krishna. One's thoughts should be directed towards Krishna. So Krishna Anushilanam means everything, all activities are directed toward Krishna. Krishna Anushilanam. And Krishna also means everything related to Krishna, not only person Krishna. That is Bhakti Ruttama, that is pure Bhakti. So without understanding this, doubts about renunciation and bhakti will continue to arise. And when we properly read our bhakti scriptures, and then the foundation of pure devotion or the practice of pure devotion can be established very nicely. So, thus, we see here that Bharat Maharaj is showing practical renunciation here, extreme renunciation. But we also understand that how to understand it in our context. So, what we should practice and why these kind of examples are scattered all over the Shastras. Some great Grihastha devotee is renouncing, another one may not renounce. So, that we see. So, we can end the class here. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving a very holistic view of this specific sloka with respect to Bharat Maharaj's life. Thank you, Prabhu. And devotees, I think it was a very interactive discussion as well. There were a lot of questions and discussions. So devotees may please unmute the mic and share your questions or comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Thanks for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Prabhu, I have one this doubt. In Anyabhilashita Shunyam, you said we should not ask the Lord for anything, but there are some necessary material activities one has to do. So do it not asking the Lord's help. Is it okay or not okay?
So, everybody has a body to maintain, and for the maintenance of the body, for the upkeep of one's body, then material things will be required. because we are in the material world and we have material body. So the body has to be maintained. So some material facility will always be required. So if we have the proper understanding that uh, what exactly is required for us, and we are going to utilize that in uh, Krishna service, or basically we are utilizing for ourselves, but we are practicing bhakti, then we can ask for that thing. So that is not a problem. Of course, the highest platform of devotion service is that one does not ask, just like Madhavendra Puri. So he is completely dependent on the Lord. If the Lord wants to give him food, then he will take it. Otherwise, he will not take it. Or this is case of a renunciate, Madhavendra Puri. Or in case of Grihastha like Srivas Thakur, you know. So he doesn't do anything for his maintenance. He claps 3 times and food appears. So of course, these things are not very practical for us because we are not on that platform of devotional service. If we clap 3 times, nothing will appear. So we have to work for our maintenance of the body, family, and whatever we get, we should use it for advancing in Krishna consciousness. So then, in that case, we can ask also to Krishna, and Krishna also knows that how much is to be given so that we do not go astray from the path of devotional service. Also, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that let's say if one is not that sincere, one has some material desire and he asks, so Krishna will give him that, may or may not give. But if Krishna gives, but Krishna will also purify him of that desire. For example, Dhruv Maharaj. So Dhruv Maharaj, when he became a devotee, then he understood that I should not have asked for the kingdom. And then, but still he got it because he had desired it. But once he got it, then Krishna purified him of that desire. So after that, he does not want it anymore. So that is how Krishna works. If
Hare
one,
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavad.
if one is sincere, yes, yes, Mother.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have a clarification, Prabhu. I have a devotee friend who is for the marriageable age, and her parents, the devotee's parents are non-devotees, and the devotee at home they are looking out for a match for this devotee friend. She is almost in tears. For the past 2 years, they're looking out for a match, and she's so frustrated. And she wants to know how she can further move in her this thing, Prabhu.
That
She's
is a
about chance 16 rounds, but
that's
parents are not at all interested in her to.
I think for that kind of situation, you can approach some senior devotee in the temple, Grihastha devotee who has experience of dealing with such situations or guiding people who are in that kind of situation. So in this particular case, I can only give the scriptural understanding, but for a practical understanding, I think you should approach some senior Grihastha devotee in the temple who can guide properly because it's a situation involving a person and what is the background of that person, what is the exact situation, those things have to be discussed. So that's why someone who is present there locally and so that person will be better to guide you in this particular case.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
How we can practice this Vairagya, Prabhu? Like they usually say after 50 years you should go to Vanaprastha and all that. But staying at home, doing your duty, how can we practice? Can you give some practical tips for us?
Yes. So, for us who are on the path of Bhakti Yoga, so Shravan Kirtan is the recommended path. One has to increase one's Shravan and Kirtan. And also, one should try to develop some detachment. But as we discussed earlier, when one advances in bhakti, only then that real detachment comes. One cannot artificially push himself for renunciation, because that will be dry renunciation, and it will make us very unhappy in our practice of Krishna consciousness. But still, one has to push oneself to at least to some limit. So, one should develop a detached mindset that, okay, now 50 years I have stayed in this world. What are my experiences? And how it has helped me to develop attachment for Krishna. I should focus on those activities more now. And the activities which uh, take me away from Krishna, then I should gradually minimize those activities so that my mind is fixed up on Krishna more and more, and I can make uh, as much advancement as possible in this particular lifetime, because we do not know that when the next life will come, when death will come, we'll have to go to next life. So also one should understand that the real bliss is there in practice of Shuddha Bhakti only, pure Bhakti. So the more we try to go near to that platform of Shuddha Bhakti, the better it is for us. So practically speaking, after some point of time, then some practical things that chant more, read more, and whenever we get a chance, we can go to holy places like Vrindavan, Mayapur, stay there for some time, take association of devotees there, and gradually cut down on things like attending too many marriages, family ceremonies. So once in a while you might have to go, but just like in our regular life, one might go to so many marriages, friends' marriage, and this and that. So all those things then we should cut out, and one should focus more on Krishna. One should associate more with devotees, not so much with outside people. Then, so we can do our best, whatever is. Uh, there is no ideal situation in Kali Yuga in any ashram. It is very difficult. But whatever is the best possible, we should do that.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavatam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. I have one question, Prabhu. This specific Rishabdev and Bharat Maharaj, their pastime, it happened in which yuga and which Manvantara, Prabhu? Is it in the Manvantara that we are living in, and which yuga, Prabhu?
No, this happened uh, in another Kalpa, Bharat Maharaj episode.
Or different kalpa itself? Okay.
Yeah. And regarding Rishabdev, I'm not very sure when it happened. But Bharat Maharaj, not in this uh, Kalpa.
Because in the Rishabhadev, when we were studying about Rishabhadev pastime, and when he was actually leaving the body, he was roaming around the jungle, and then Prabhu is living in the body, and there are some kings who actually misunderstood him, and Prabhupada mentioned that that's how the parampara of Jain philosophy has started. So I was a bit confused because my understanding, not based on scriptural reference, but is that Jain philosophy and all is started somewhere in this Kali Yuga. Is that true, Prabhu, or is it having a very long history, way before this Yuga, Prabhu?
So Jain means it is something like Jain. See, what is Jain? Jain, Rishabdev. So before that, Bharat Maharaj episode. So Bharat Maharaj is a descendant of Swayambhuva Manu. And Swayambhuva Manu, he appeared in the first Kalpa actually, first day of Brahma. So we are speaking about long time back, basically. And of course, the episode might have happened later on also in some other kalpas of Brahma. But we see that in the first kalpa, Swayambhu Manu was there. So the first day of Brahma. So now we are in the first day of 50th year or 51st year of Brahma. So it is very difficult to say because in Bhagavatam itself it is written that in Brahma has, just like we have 30 days in a month, Brahma also has 30 days for his month. And all of these 30 days, different incarnations of the Lord, they come. So basically, there are 30 variations in which different incarnations, different devotees, they will come. And then these 30 will go on repeating for every month. That is explained in Bhagavatam. So Swayambhuva Manu comes in the first day, first month of Brahma. And then perhaps in every other month he could have come, but we don't know. Not Swayambhuva Manu, but Bharat Maharaj. So devotees and different incarnations, they keep on repeating. Their appearances, it keeps on repeating. So it's very difficult. But we can say that whenever Swayambhuva Manu appeared, so that was the first kalpa only. But let's say that in some other kalpa also, he might have come, that we cannot say. So in that particular kalpa, this episode has happened. So regarding Jain philosophy, what we understand today as Jain, so that terminology Jain may not have existed that time. But basically, what is Jain? That Rishabdev, he showed the stage of a Paramahamsa. That one is not caring about anything, body, one basically externally looks like a madman. So Rishabdev, he showed that example as an example of extreme detachment and renunciation. But that example is not to be followed by people in general because they'll not be able to do it properly. So, especially kings. So many kings after Bharat Maharaj, or we don't know how many years after Bharat Maharaj, but they tried to copy this example. And the philosophy was not copied because Bharat Maharaj, although he is completely renounced and externally doesn't seem that he is performing any spiritual practices which are connected to Bhakti Yoga, but actually he is the Supreme Lord himself, and in his mind also he's thinking of the Supreme Lord, just like Krishna also in the morning he is performing puja and he's thinking of Vishnu. So something like that. And we see that other family members of Rishabdev also, they are devotees of their Vaishnavas. So these kings, they tried to copy the external practice of Rishabdev, but the Vaishnavism aspect is left out. So that is the concept of Jain religion. So in Jain religion also, it's not that everybody can practice that path. So only a few sages, they are able to practice that path of extreme renunciation. That too, not like Rishabdev, and they don't have the Vaishnav aspect there. Just like we see in Rishabdev and his family, Rishabdev's teachings also to his sons we see. So the Vaishnav teachings are not there. So path is successful, completely successful, when what the Acharya does, other people can also do. For example, the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, they chanted, they heard, they performed their devotional service, and all of us, we can also do that living in Bangalore. Of course, that kind of renunciation is not possible, but the activities are possible. Then that path is considered as a genuine path. But how many can live like Rishabdev? Because Rishabdev is not showing any external spiritual practices. He is internally absorbed because he is on that platform. But a person in Bangalore, he cannot become internally absorbed. It will take many, many lifetimes for that stage to come. So that is a path which cannot be practiced. And moreover, if there is no concept of being absorbed in Vishnu, then that path is incomplete. So, so basically, that is the concept of Jainism. Of course, they
Thank you,
are
Prabhuji.
in mode of goodness. We can say they are in mode of goodness, and they have many good qualities. They value the path of goodness and renunciation. But the main aspect, as we discussed today, also the main aspect is bhakti, not renunciation. So that is missing there. Apart from that, that is also a very good path. If they would have included Vishnu, then it would have been a very wonderful path. Because you see, the normal grihasthas in Jainism, so neither they are able to practice that kind of renunciation which their sadhus are performing, and neither they have bhakti. So they are very appreciative of tapasya, mode of goodness, and they serve their sadhus, which will give them some piety. But it's not complete.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Okay.
There are no questions. I think we can end today's session, Prabhu. Again, thank you very much, Prabhu, for sharing your valuable insight and knowledge and realization. We'll end today's session with the Vaishnava Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhu mevacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाए, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाए, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाए। जय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees. Tomorrow morning, we will have class at 8 o'clock. His Holiness will be very fortunate to have the association of His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj in the temple. So I request devotees to be coming to the temple if possible. We'll do the streaming as well through Zoom and YouTube. Hare Krishna. Devotees.